My name is Jenn Thomas. I've been teaching with All That Matters for many years, more than a decade. And I'm delighted to be here with you tonight at bedtime. I wore my pajamas and a scarf, which I'm rarely found without. So good evening. This is the very first time that I've led a class without someone in front of me that I can see. So I'm trusting that you're all there and very interested in relaxing this evening. Yin yoga is a form of yoga that asks us to slow way down. And even in that kind of slowing down space, it also asks us to pay attention and to be mindful and to take really good care and allow the body systems to unwind in their own time. So there's nothing forceful or targeting the body in its most hidden aspects, in the places that are a little darker, a little harder to reach. And so I welcome you this evening so that you can find a little bit of the soothing waters of yin that can make room for a really deep night's sleep and some sweetness for your system. We're in tough times, so I really have been feeling the need to offer a practice like this. So come on in. You might find it helpful to have some props available to you. So certainly if you don't have regular yoga props, which I've got a couple of blocks and a strap and a bolster, any kind of slightly firmer pillow will be really useful. Blankets are very helpful, any kind of blanket, because you can roll your blanket up into mini little bolsters that can be used to support you. Books are really helpful if you don't have blocks. So those are the kinds of things that might be useful as we do these handful of poses. So we're going to do a handful of slow down entryways into the body. We're going to stay for a little while and let ourselves really feel and be in the flow of whatever is already occurring and whatever begins to occur. Stay with it. Yeah, so let's sit for a few moments and feel into the space that you're in. I have a couple candles lit. You're on your own there, so if you like a little music, you're welcome to it. I don't generally use music. I love the music of silence, the sweet, kind of deep quiet that's underneath all the busyness at the surface. So I'm aiming for that, heading into that realm. Into whether you're cross-legged or sitting on your heels or your legs are stretched out or you're sitting in a chair. Let your weight drop a little bit. Wiggle around a little bit here. Always start in a place that has a little bit of ease. So we look for the ease with the breath. Steady breath in, a steady breath out. Maybe the eyes soften and close. You'll notice I close my eyes for a bit. I like to rock a little, very gentle rock side to side, maybe a little forward and back, barely noticeable. In this way, I begin to let myself know that I'm here and I'm taking a little time for myself. You're here. You're taking a little time for yourself. What are you carrying into this moment with you? Perhaps there's tension in the body in places that are noticeable. Maybe your mind is still quite active, involved in conversations or dinner or work from earlier in the day, or the news is still replaying in your head. So we take another big breath in. This too is part of our makeup. So welcome all that is taking place right now. And just imagine that it is able, willing, and soon to melt away in just the right way for you to feel comfortable and relaxed, quiet and easy. Gathering the hands together for a brief moment. Share in the sound of Om if you like, or just notice the sound of Om if that's better for you. Just one, taking in a breath. Bow, bowing to the earth, holding us up, bowing to the sky, holding us here, right? Bowing to being in a body this moment, right now. So we'll begin. Our first pose is a wide knee child. We're going to do that for a few minutes, and then it's going to morph into a melting heart pose. So knees are nice and wide enough as you take the shape so you feel it a little bit. And because we're at the end of our day into the evening, I'm going to suggest that you don't go all the way to the edge that you might ordinarily go to, but just a gentle sensation, a tug and a pull that's a little noticeable. Okay. And then you'd simply rest forward. So some people with the knees wide drop all the way down to the floor, and it feels really good. Others, a little too much to go all the way down there. So you might prop yourself up. If you had a couple of books or a block, I like to put it underneath my belly. Sometimes I'll soften it up with something, anything I can find. So, right here, actually, yeah, I like it way down under the belly. And then I bring my arms out in front of me and I rest my head down on the backs of my arms or hands. The feet could be touching one another, big toes touching one another. You could be raised up on quite a high bolster if you like, so the feet could be touching. The hips could be lifted up, right? You could be lifted more up like this, especially if your knees are challenged. You could be on your back, right? So those of you who have some issues with the knees don't like to be folded in this way, you could come onto the back and simply allow the legs to be wide. I wouldn't go to happy baby, but maybe rest the hands down somewhere on the legs so you get that nice fold. There's a little more pressure into the back and not the tug and pull on the back, so we sort of switch the equation a little bit, but either one of these will begin to help the system relax. And we even have to add the use of the imagination here. You can notice the places where there is tightness that's taken up residence in you. And then use your imagination. Use your imagination to imagine in to those spots some ease. Imagine that they could dissolve a little bit or become a little more porous so the sensation could come and go and you wouldn't have to be caught in it. So you continue to rest down into this child pose, wide knee child. You may find that some of the sensation builds a little bit. That's okay. You see if you can lean into it, stay next to it, experience it. So you stay in the pose for a little longer, and I'll just offer you some tidbits of guidance as you remain steady with yourself. There's not much right now that's remaining steady for us. So, a way to be present in your own experience is like having someone be there with you, being accompanied on the journey of your life by a tender and wonderful being that is held in your own heart. So imagine right now that your aches and pains, the areas of tension, the places, especially if you've been having to work from home and don't get out and about as much as you might have if you'd been traveling around, the body is having to adjust. So we're giving it some time here, kind of loading up a little bit of our body weight into areas of the body so the fascia can get some tug and pull. That stimulation into the fascial network is system-wide. The whole body gets a benefit from that. The particular area, maybe a little more juice. So you can also use your imagination here to imagine that the sensations that you're feeling in the shape are getting you ready for complete ease of sleep. That tug and pull, opening up a channel that lets go of tension, that makes it possible to set down any worry or concern. I love letting my mind imagine in that way. Imagine a beautiful, spacious moment, a sky brightly lit with stars, sliver of a moon perhaps, quiet and noisy at once. I go out in my yard and the peepers are so loud, it's incredible. And at the same time, the container that holds their voices is so quiet. 3 more breaths. So from this wide angle, when you finish that last breath for you, what you're going to do is you're going to change the shape a little bit. You can keep the knees just as wide if you're willing. If they want to come a little closer, that's okay. And we're going to slide the arms down onto the floor and get a little bit of a drop just to the floor. The sitting bones will spread a little wider. Some folks are not going to drop way down. My body just happens to drop way down. But you could prop. The arms could be outstretched. I like to hang on to opposite elbows and let my forehead rest on the backs of my arms so that there is some room for my face down there. So just stay there about a minute. If that feels like too much in your system, like too much is not helpful. So you can back off a little bit, go right back to wide knee child or even our standard child where the knees come together. You could even sit up for your minute in the fashion that I am with my knees together, sitting on my heels. Whichever you choose, just be fully there. The eyes could soften and close. The hands could relax either face down or face up. We'll be shifting in a handful of breaths. You could come up to table. Maybe even stir the chi a little bit if you come to table. And if you come to table, you could move the body a little bit in a circular fashion or a little gentle cat and cow, not big, enormous ones, but just small movement. That might feel good. When you're done with that, you'll be rolling up a blanket to place either behind the shoulders or along the spine. What is going to suit your body? If you have a big bolster, use a big bolster. Okay. We're going to do a lying down butterfly. Sorry, there's a very large spider that joined me for practice today. I'm not so keen on spiders. However, my husband had a pet tarantula, so I had to become friendlier to spiders once I met him. So now I just have a moment of like, huh, and then I say, okay, there's a spider doing yoga. So we're going to be lying down onto the back with a little bit of a prop. So now you could have much more of a prop, the prop a little further down towards the lower back if that feels like a tricky spot. You'll be placing the soles of the feet together. You'll see the soles of my feet are together, and I'm going to push them a little further away from the body instead of bringing them closer in. I like to turn my support sideways and drape a little bit more over the back. The other thing that many people will use blocks or something underneath the legs. I tend to use another rolled up blanket. It's nice and soft. I particularly like the softness in the evening. I love to feel like I'm being supported. Right? So I let the legs float out. I get the support underneath my shoulders and let my head drop back. Because I haven't lifted up too high, I get a nice bit of a back bend, but not too much intensity. And here we are in lying down butterfly. You might be interested in feeling into the belly heart and the chest heart for a few breaths. What would it be like to give yourself full permission to drop down? Let the earth that you were bowing to earlier catch you. And the sky, the atmosphere, the air around you be like a soft blanket that just gently drapes over you. Feels like a little added security. So you don't even have to have your eyes open in this practice. You can listen for my voice to give you some guidance from one place to the next. So in this way, you can also let the dark behind your eyes really settle you down. There's a way that everyone begins to drift a little bit towards that spacious, open quality that isn't so connected. That space just before we fall asleep is the conscious moment of seeing ourselves let go. So we're practicing a little bit about that. I want to read you while you're here a poem from Mark Nepo, part of a poem, where he says, "And sometimes at night, when the dog is asleep and the owl is beginning to stare into what no one ever sees, I stand on the deck and feel the black spill off the stars. Feel it coat the earth, the trees, the minds of children half asleep. Feel the stillness evaporate all notions of fame into the space that waits for light. The black spills off the stars. The stillness evaporates all notions of fame, whether that is, getting it right, being connected, maintaining our equations of living. We can just let it spill and drape and soften. We'll stay a little longer in these couple of moments that we remain, another minute or minute and a half. With the sensation that's rising and falling. What's your experience of being with yourself here? Where's the ease? This is my cat talk. He might speak a little bit during our practice. As you get ready to shift from your lying down butterfly pose, you could shift now or you could wait another few breaths. But let the change be slow. Let the way that you come out of the shape be very deliberate. Maybe you stretch your legs out. Maybe you remove a prop. You might draw the knees lightly into the chest and curl over to one side or the other for a moment or two. Our practice so sweetly tonight is going to really remain on the floor, on the back primarily. So we got that little bit of a back bend in the melting heart pose, and then again in the lying down butterfly. So we're going to head to a twist. I'll lie down and twist. So I'm going to remove my big soft blanket completely because I'm pretty sure I won't use that again. Okay. I might use a block. I might use the smaller rolled up blanket for my twist. So I have those handy. Blocks, if you have them, lots of people really love their blocks, so you're welcome to not let anything just hang, but give it a little support tonight. Okay. So we extend the legs out, and I sit up for a few moments and just let everything that was stimulated, all the energy that might have shifted, anything that might have released or opened, to just be felt and experienced in the body. And leaning back into my hands this way feels good. Some folks like to lie all the way down on their back. You choose. This is what practice is like in my yoga nook over the garage, my cat and me. So when you're ready, you're going to lie down all the way onto the back and bend the knees. Maybe inchworm a little bit. Feel where the sacrum is most comfortable. I like to rock back into the mid back and then press forward, lifting the small of the back away a little bit. And then just jiggling
fascia loves to be jiggled, so sometimes they just wiggle all over. If you have any extra, it's easier to feel the jiggle. So enjoy that. And then we'll be coming into a twist. So there are such a great number of twists, and you'll have to identify if one feels better than another for you. What I'm going to do this evening is I'm going to take the right leg and I'm going to place it up over the left like Garudasana. Some folks will tuck the toes, others the foot's just going to hang out. And we're going to do, it's just a classic movement away. So the top leg, right leg, I'm going to move that knee towards the left. So I'm going to have to move the left foot a little bit out of the way. I might have to move my hips over a little bit. And I'm going to let those knees drop down towards the floor. I might hold on with my hands. I don't like to hold on with anything. I usually put something, a sandbag or something in there. That's good for me. I also really love the shoulder dropping way back. But what happens when my knees go all the way down is my shoulder can't go all the way down. So I do a number of things. I support with that rolled up blanket under the bottom knee. And then I take my block, which is down here by the cat, and I put it up over my head. I think I'll do it on the lower setting tonight. And I'll place my arm, not the whole arm, just the wrist and the hand. And that'll just lift it up high enough so that my shoulder can melt into the air underneath it, since it's not touching down onto the ground. So here's my lying down twist. Now this arm and hand are completely free to land wherever they are most comfortable. I have concerns for our necks at times, so make sure your neck feels loose and easy. If the gaze is up towards the ceiling or the head has to shift position a little bit, go for that, do that. If you start to daydream or drift away, it's not really a problem, it's just what's happening. You can, when you notice that, call yourself back and check in and see, is there anything that wants to be known or felt that's occurring right here? Sometimes we drift because what's here isn't what we want to see. So we can take it for a moment and see it and then set it down. This is us forgetting our bed. See what's here. And then let it know you see it and then set it down. You continue in your twist on this side. For those of you who are new to this practice, it is a lengthy amount of time in the pose. Moving quite slowly. I want to keep tabs on how long we are in places. You take 3 more breaths here. It's like the nectar of our deeper being. It's like the dark that spills from the stars, right? So letting it, seep in. You come back up to the center with the knees bent. Come on, tuck out of the way, buddy. The knees bent. Placed on the floor nice and wide. When you have a cat in the way, it's a little trickier. You let the back of the head rest. This constructed position with the knees is very easy on the low back, so the sacrum can find a nice nest before we twist in the other direction. As you're ready, you could shift the hips over a little bit, draw that left leg over top the right, and then come on down. How much is too much? How much is too little? I'm going to use the blanket since it's in my hand. If you notice anything vibrating or trembling, you might breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slow, controlled breath out. Mind may find its way onto your breath and follow that simple pattern of breath coming in and breath going out. Perhaps able to see the things that are continuing at a higher vibration and the things that are slowing down. One not better than the other, or even if preferred by the mind, actually in reality just something that's occurring. We've chosen these handful of poses with the intention to energetically prepare the system for the time overnight when it gets to reset. Lots of healing occurs in our sleep cycles. Different organ systems have a chance to do their really important work. Liver and gallbladder nighttime functioning. Early morning, so 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, lung and large intestine go to work. Our irritations are soothed with sleep. Our sadness has some respite in sleep. You might take 3 more breaths. You might be ready now. What's your way out? Back to that simple space in the center. couple of cushions, bolster, block, Viparita Karani, legs up. Right, so you place the block under the sacrum. You could do legs up the wall if you prefer it. Yeah. I like mine a little higher. You could do it at the lower setting. So letting the legs float up and the torso tip down, chi moving into the heart, pooling in the heart and lungs. The arms can be where they like. Letting the shoulders really nestle down into the floor as if it was a soft and easygoing, comforting kind of chair, couch, bed behind you, but still firm and supportive. Imagine now that your tension has been replaced with ease, or is in the process of that taking place. Nice and slow going for you. You stay if you're willing. If the body has a degree of ease, you stay. In these moments remaining, another minute or so, you see, what is it like to just let go of what has passed, what's already occurred? And then setting aside any of the imagining that we have been doing, let go of whatever might come. Even now, don't think. You can let go of whatever is happening now. Don't examine anymore. Whatever is happening, you don't have to try to figure anything out. And of course, maybe the biggest one for most of us, don't control. There's nothing you have to do right here, really. Once you take up the shape, you don't have to try and make anything happen. Nothing at all. Maybe there's 5 more breaths here for you. Each of these remaining breaths filling you with pure, really unadulterated energy in a quite sweet balance, just the right amount for you to feel at peace. You can bring yourself down out of Viparita Karani in a number of ways. Right? I think come down like for bridge and remove your block that way. You could keep your block here for Apanasana and just bend the knees down and in. Sometimes I'll move the block a little further away, or something softer might want to be there. And just wrap the arms up around the legs. You could use a strap, a belt, a scarf. Hello, hello. Scarf. So I'm placing the legs in this way, just offering a gentle massage into the abdominal cavity. The walls of that cavity getting a little toning. Every organ, the whole of our viscera, receiving some wonderful, gentle hug. So letting the legs relax out into the arms, and the arms enclose the legs, and the body receive all of that. Receive the shape. You don't need to do it propped up. You can do it all the way down on the floor. So we let go of what's past. We let go of what's to come. We let go of what's happening now. Right? We let go of the effort that we make to make things happen, to figure things out. Maybe that's a bit of a task, a process, a little mini ritual journey as you head to the land of Nod. Right? So when you come out of the Apanasana, you're going to be stretching out, making yourself really comfortable. So I suggest placing something behind the knees. Tough. You really make it hard, buddy. Maybe a cat, right? Small spaces, extra bodies. So this is good enough. He'll get a little squeezed and he'll have to. Right. So I like just this. Just enough under the knees. Sometimes I'll put a block under my feet. Some folks need a little something underneath the back body as well. So if you have another something to put there that creates a little bit of a lift up, you might do that. This is actually really lovely too. So looking for a very comfortable placement. Arms out alongside the body. They could also be supported by blankets. So if you're familiar with this restorative versions of this lying down shape, different forms of Shavasana, you're welcome to any of those, depending on what you have. So take your time to get it set up. We're going to stay for a little while in this shape as I guide you through a relaxation process. So get comfy.
Right, buddy? Yeah. So you are resting on the earth, even though you might be several stories up and you feel the mat or the floor beneath you. That is all, excuse me, only possible because we're on the earth. So they're representatives of that earth. So let yourself really settle down onto the earth in the coziness of the shape you've created for yourself. Maybe you have a blanket over you. Anything that you can imagine being open, just letting that be open. So the palms of the hands, maybe the across the chest and the heart. Not so much physically open, like the eyes, for instance, or the ears, but the skin and the pores, the openness of being, so a little porous. Taking a moment to just scan through the physical body from head to toe, from shoulder to fingertip, from hip to heel. Check in. Check in on how everything is doing. Give it a little bit of your attention and time. And then when you're ready, collect yourself and all the inner voices that may be still at play. And let all the parts, all the layers, all the aspects of your being know that you'll be taking an inner walk, a quiet, refreshing, healing time. We'll be coming to immerse ourselves and float in the river of life. So all gathered together, you simply let the body completely rest and imagine yourself on a gentle day. Maybe it's midday and the sun is shining. Maybe it's dusk and the moon is rising. You walk through a field of grass, feeling the grass. Nothing to worry about. Perhaps a bird here and there. A wide, expansive sky. And you're on a path. It's very pleasant. As you follow along the path, it brings you in close on the right side to some forest and trees. Dark and luminous, not frightening. Beautiful, really. And then the path just moves a little bit away from the forest to the left. It goes down a fairly steep hill and comes out along a river. This is a very special river. It's a river that is fed by the whole of the universe. The depths of the cosmos is filled with the elixir of life, the healing waters. So you just walk along this river. I always imagine that it's lit by the moon and the stars. Calls me to that Rumi poem, we look in the creek and we truck more with the current of the river and the river itself than what it reflects. So as you walk along the river's edge, you may come to a point where you can just step down into this river, which is just warm and soothing, able to hold you and carry you with such lightness and such gentleness. You can become immersed in this water. It's the living water of life. Whether you're above the surface or below the surface, you are breathed with life. So just allowing yourself to drift in to the experience of this river. Letting it bring along with it whatever is needed for you, whatever soothes your soul, frees your spirit, tends your body and your mind. Rest into the river. You stay with this experience as long as you like, letting go into it or beyond it, whenever. Every cell being saturated with the harmony and peace of the greater whole. Taking a few minutes here to wiggle back into your body. Let the breath wash through you. Feel yourself on steady ground. And then very, very gently, you can curl to one side or the other, drawing the knees into the chest and letting yourself pause there. What are the qualities that are in residence now? Perhaps you're someplace really comfortable and you can drift off. Perhaps you're ready to go to bed. We all need extra sleep to help mitigate the effects of stress. I'll close our practice this evening with a second Mark Nepo. This one's called Be a Circle. I wish you the ability to breathe after pain, to begin again, though nothing else seems possible. I wish you resilience to part like the ocean and accept like the sky. I wish you survival to take in life like a trapped miner, finding an air hole and praising it as God. I wish you courage to ask of everything you meet, what bridge are we? I wish that the kindness that you are can brighten your way like orange leaves falling about the face of a doe. I wish you endless journey that seldom appears as we imagine. I wish you curiosity to make a boat of wonder and an oar of gratitude. As we dedicate the merits of our practice, may the energy of these blessings go far and wide. May all beings know health and peace. May all beings, without exception, be safe and free from harm. May all beings, no one left out, come home to their hearts, live from their true nature. Om Shanti, Om Peace.